Support of the owner, what did that mean to you for him to come out and be a part of that, at least hear what was going on?
Yeah, it means a lot to have Mr. Tubb come out to understand it's issues that way bigger than us on the field, and I think the one thing that you'll see, which I think is wonderful for this city, is that he's a person that cares about the community, and it's not just about the flawed criminal justice system; it's about the people who are in need in general, and he's all over it. He's very well educated in that field, and he cares a lot about this community. So I believe that he's a perfect owner for the city and the challenges that Charlotte has, and this city will be better because of Tepper being on.
I think in the word solutions was it? Y'all looking for solutions? What follow-up type meetings are planned? What's the future?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the purpose of yesterday is more so to learn about the issues that Charlotte has, whether it's in the education system or the criminal justice system, where Mr. Tepper was able to be a part of, and you learn about the bail system, which preys on the poor. And there's no reason why people should be out here having funds to bail out people who have a high likelihood of their charges being dropped and simply not being able to get out of jail because they don't have the money. I think it should be simple. If you're a threat to society, then you should probably be staying in jail. If you're not, I shouldn't be able to get out because I can afford it and my younger brother can't, and we did the exact same crime. It just doesn't make sense. And when people are locked up like that, they lose their jobs, they lose their homes. Their families are broken up, because parents are behind bars. And when you think of the juvenile system, which we had the opportunity to stop by, it's either one or two ways you can look at it. Either you're going to invest more in education, which will prevent more people from entering the criminal justice system, or you're going to be spending a whole lot more money building new jails because we're not doing our part on the education side. So learning about the challenges that Charlotte has and historically how it's been, it was a great day.
Can we see Eric get involved in that, or is this case?
I think Eric and Colin have both been doing things in the community, since they protested, and it's not something that he's doing particularly with this group. But they're doing great things in the community, and they should definitely be applauded for the work that they're doing as well.
Torrey, I'm sorry I walked in late, but yesterday, can you just take us through everything you did? I know you spoke with the DA and then also went to Sedgefield Middle School.
Yeah, so started off and went to the Juvenile Detention Center, and was able to talk to the kids, learn about the things they're doing there. There's kids that are in solitary confinement, which we're learning more and more is terrible for the kids. And the new sheriff-elect, was able to talk with him about what he's going to do. I think a lot of times when people see us involved in the criminal justice system, they think of, oh, you're trying to help a bunch of criminals. Like, if they don't make the mistake in the first place, then you wouldn't have to help them. Like, yes, we're definitely doing a part in that, but we want to understand why they're there. A lot of kids are there because of mental health issues, troubles at home, things they've seen, and they're lashing out, or for a lot of them, it's survival. I met a young man yesterday. He actually has been committed to robberies, but they learned that it all fell apart when he was 13 years old. His mother had given him up, and he lived with his grandmother. His grandmother died. He's basically homeless. He was on his own. He didn't have any food, and he went into survival mode. And it's not right to take from other people, but that's the way he did it. So when you learn about those underlying issues and the kids that they're in there, I think it should be more about mental health and rehabilitating folks versus just locking them up and keeping them in timeout. And from there, we went to the courthouse. That's where we were able to talk with the DA and the prosecutors, and it was a great educational experience to learn about the issue. We watched a few cases where the judge was able to let some of these folks out on unsecured bonds, and we saw some that they were to keep in. But the two that they let out, they were in there for 2 weeks simply because they couldn't afford to get out. And they weren't threats to society. Yes, they made mistakes and committed crimes, but they weren't threats to society. So when you see that, you consistently see, no matter what city you're in, the bail system is a system that preys on the poor. And from there, we went to Sedgefield Middle School, had a great conversation with their principal, learned about their challenges there. We had a historian there that was explained about the busing situation and desegregating, which they had in Charlotte, and to learn that when they broke that up, that Charlotte's actually segregated by neighborhoods, by color. And so the schools and the systems and the support systems are a little different depending on where you live. South Charlotte, where I live, is completely different than West Charlotte and the challenges that they have. So it was interesting to learn about that and what we can do and the challenges that they're facing inside the classrooms.
Hey, why was this locker room right for Eric to return to football versus others that may not have been?
I think Eric would have been a great fit in any locker room. I think a lot of people view it as a distraction, but the only distraction is when y'all ask questions. I mean, he's not out there on the field. They give him the coverage, and he's just taking a knee. Like, that's not how this thing works. You know, he protests before the game, and I mean, I don't care if he takes a knee or not this week. He does whatever he feels in his heart. Eric's going to be ready to play ball this weekend, and he's going to help the Carolina Panthers win, which is the most important thing.
I'm sorry I'm asking about it again, but I know we talked about you off the field, and now bringing in a guy like Eric too that is someone that does a lot of work off the field as well. How much weight does that carry inside the locker room?
I think it carries a lot of weight when you talk about it, especially for, you know, a guy like Eric who was a part of a protest, and he's been trying to figure out ways to help the community, which he's done a great job with Colin Kaepernick. And you have guys like, you know, myself who, you know, I've been doing work in the community since long before I made it to the NFL. And guys like Malcolm Jenkins, Chris Long, guys that have been doing work in the community long before, you know, people brought attention to it through protesting and things like that. So I think the one thing is, in my opinion, I think we should be proud of, especially what we've been doing as players, has been kind of changing the game. I mean, guys have been doing great things in the community for a long time, giving school supplies, turkey drives, whatever it may be. We're actually seeing legislative moves to actually have an impact on these systems that guys are protesting about. And that's never happened before, you know, with athletes. So we're looking to continue to change that and just continue to be the best citizens that we can be, because it's not just about us as football players. You know, we have our free time, we have a responsibility to the community as well.
Torrey, you did have some success in Philadelphia. I think I saw that with some of the legislation there, and I'm wondering if that's a big picture, a goal for you in Charlotte as well.
I think there are a lot of things in Charlotte that, you know, I would love to try to figure out how we can help on. Unfortunately, we only have Tuesdays to really try to think of that stuff, but it's something that we're going to work towards. I mean, they have challenges here. We were able to pass the Clean Slate Act, which in Philadelphia, which means folks who had misdemeanors, certain type of misdemeanors, after 10 years, their records automatically cleared, their records expunged. And that's a huge process for people who made dumb decisions when they're 18, 22, whatever it may be. They're able to break this cycle of poverty because they're able to get hired. They're not discriminated against because of their record. And, you know, I think the criminal justice system, the thing that we've seen is when you enter it, and I know firsthand, again, from my mother's experience, when you enter it, it's real easy to get into and it's hard to get out. And so when you're making decisions like that, bad decisions, you don't realize the long-term consequences. And just because you've been labeled as a felon, certain type of felons now, it shouldn't hinder you. It shouldn't be a life sentence. For some folks, even though they've done their time, they've been productive citizens, they're still held back, and that's a problem.
Torrey, you know, you said you don't care if Eric takes a knee. Do you think that's the temperature in this room, that all guys just...
And no one cares.
Yeah.
You're asking, I'm told, it's not like he's out there, you know, coach calls cover 3 or man-to-man, he's going to take a knee and let his guy run by him. If that was the issue, it would be a problem, you know, but that's not the way it works. And Eric knows what's best for Eric and what Eric needs to do, and we all understand what he's fighting for. So if that's something he decides to do, that's the way he decides to do, but that has absolutely nothing to do with this locker room, the way we approach the game, the way we prepare, and what we're trying to do, which is go out there and win.
And everybody's behind him on whatever he decides to do.
It's not even a conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, people just kind of especially in this locker room, guys just kind of be themselves. We have some of the most interesting conversations, I would say, from politics to religion in this locker room that I've ever been a part of. So this is a locker room that's all about free spirits as long as you're doing your job. I mean, just in there lifting with Eric, I know Eric, you know, for years he's going to work harder than anyone on and off the field, and you're going to respect him for the man he is. So people may get annoyed with y'all asking the questions, but at the end of the day, you know, he's going to help the team win.
How big would be a win coming off this bye week?
Win would be huge, you know, especially every win that you can get in this league is huge, but coming off a bye week, especially to keep the momentum going and to try to continue to build, and especially this time of the year, having an early one. So, and we had a great week even on our bye week, so we had to continue to do our part and take care of business.